Okay, it's 9:30. So I'm gonna go slow and hopefully just be here for 10 minutes. That's my intention. And I'd like to share with you who I am and my experience with this ascension cycle, and also why I'm sharing these two documents with you, and how this really can help you evolve through this really turbulent and exciting time in our lives. So if this is your first time meeting me, I'm so glad you're here. This is like so cool that this is your first experience with me. And if you've known me for a long time, especially when I was posting like a mad woman, because I think I was a little bit insane during my awakening, I'm really so grateful that you're here to listen to what the experience is like in hindsight and what continual integration feels like and looks like in practice. So my name is 𝗬𝗲𝗟𝗏 𝗟ci, and by profession, I've been in fitness for 21 years. And I have always been a seeker. I've always asked a lot of questions. Even on my high school graduation ring, I had the word knowledge is power written on it. So I've always really loved to learn. And I spent actually a solid 10 years doing secondary, well, not, fitness certifications for 10 whole years. And because I just wanted to learn as much as I could about the body. And I've always wanted to be a very athletic woman with a six-pack. And I've never been able to, implement the habits to make that change and then be the person to actually hold that state of being. And right now I'm in a diet to get a six-pack. And I spent about 19 to 20 weeks preparing for it by increasing how much I was eating every week to be able to really create a stronger metabolism for the calorie deficit. Now, I've also had a lot of chronic pain and inflammation and digestive issues. Those have cleared up for the most part. My chronic neck problems really hit their peak when a disc in my neck slid up and under the one above it and tore. It was awful. And if you hear noises, Willow just joined me. She usually comes up here for these live streams. And in 2020, in November of 2020, it was really painful to digest food, is the best way to describe it. I had a lot of problems eating. And so I went to Eastern medicine to learn about constitutional acupuncture, and I follow a regimen called 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗽. And that really changed my life. and now, the issues that I have with my back are thoracic issues. They're in this area of the body. And in another live stream, I'll share with you the energetic machine that is behind the actual heart that I'm actually repairing, that has to do with the issues I'm having with my back now. Because when I went to the pain specialist, he did a check and he was like, nothing's out of alignment. You're fine. So it's energetic work on so many levels. And I just wanted to share with you like where my body has been, and that now it's in such good condition and I'm losing weight every week and getting closer and closer to my dream body because of this energetic work. So what I want to share with you is that we have energy. Energy is the stuff that we can't see. And astrophysicists identify this place as the anti-material universe. And we are in the material universe. And, this is the God particle if you look it up. So this is a known reality that we have two worlds that exist within each other. And the energetic world is kind of the world that comes first before we have the material experience. Because the material experience where we have our physical body is denser. It's like a lower gradient. And so when we are living in certain energetic frequencies, because of time periods, because of where the earth is in the anti-material universe, we as a human species have a different experience of what it means to be human. And so there is a galactic center where the earth will rotate around it. And it's roughly, even though time is conceptual, roughly a 26,000 year period. And so we passed this area of the galaxy in 2012. And it's not just the Mayan calendar that has said that the world was going to end in 2012. There are other indigenous, so pre-colonized civilizations that have this same information. And the thing about the word world is that world represents the structure that is created by belief systems of people. The earth is the organic ashes to ashes, dusk to dusk, or earth is the organic divine feminine of God. And so the world did come to an end in 2012. The frequencies that supported the beliefs and thoughts and feelings of humans that had shared beliefs, thoughts, and feelings about how the world works and their place in it, and what society looks like, and what it means to be human, all of those frequencies supporting the old world were kind of like cut off. And so if you think of having a really long hose, maybe a hose that can go from the backyard of where it is plugged into the pipe all the way to the front yard. Well, when we turn the water off, it's going to take a while for the water to completely drain out of the hose, right? There's still water existing inside the hose, but eventually it will not be there. And so because the energy shifted radically, like there was a buildup as we were getting closer to it, like there's a buildup of anticipation in our birthday, you know, when we're getting closer in the zodiac wheel for our life experience, there's a buildup of energy that was already shifting. Like things were already changing in the world before 2012. But it's like when 2012 hit, the water was completely turned off. And so what we're experiencing now is an accumulation of the water draining. Because now we have mainstream news and mainstream medicine. Hi, Simone, thank you. And then we have censored news, through websites like DuckDuckGo, and information sharing on encrypted sites like Telegram and Signal. So we have now, for the first time in maybe 26,000 years, choice. Because right now we have the ability to see two different worlds that are put together with two different energy systems, and we get to decide which one we are going to reside in. And I'm not saying the Telegram, Signal, and censored news is the right one, because there are still a lot of fear frequencies within those channels. What I'm saying is we have choice on what to believe. And so as scary as it is, the amount of lives that have been lost, jobs that have been lost, we still are in a really good place for our soul. So, oh my God, it's already been 9 minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going. So this is why I'm sharing this with you, because when I understood this information that I'm sharing with you, my experience in the relationship with myself, the health in my body, and my view of the world completely shifted to where I don't have my anxieties, I don't have my depression, I don't have my self-worth issues. Everything has changed. And so my life experience is extraordinary. And the only reason why it's extraordinary is because of these things that I'm going to be sharing with you. So I have Post-its here to make sure I stay on track. Okay, so what you may be seeing a lot is conversations around the awakening. And we have shifts in civilization where they're called, like the Silver Age, the Bronze Age. This age is called the Great Awakening. And it's because so many people are able to see beyond their limiting beliefs. And so beliefs are thoughts in our mind that we think is true. And that's why for some people, something feels really true. And we say, yes, this is exactly what's going on. And then other people will say, no, that is not what it is at all. That's because of the person's individual belief system. So right now, the awakening is we have more and more people becoming aware of how the world structures are set up to disempower people. So that's the awakening. And part of it is because of the energetic frequencies that we are exposed to with where the Earth is in the galaxy. So the time frame of the shift of making that round around the galactic center. And then also because we are a luminous child of the divine feminine, we are biologically in earth sciences connected to the earth, and we are energetically through the anti-material physicist sciences connected to the divine masculine. So we are of God. There's no way around it. And every ascension cycle, not every ascension cycle, that's not true. This ascension cycle is similar to another where the goal is for the world powers to convince people that God is outside the self. And previously, this has been through the church by taking pre-colonized indigenous spiritual practices that honored Father Sky, the divine masculine, Mother Earth, the divine feminine, and having a reverence for life that we kill for our own sustenance, and the inner knowing that we are connected to all things, which makes us supportive by all things, which removes the desire to conquer anything. So that connection to God and recognizing yourself as a divine child of God, forever loved, adored, supported, we were convinced that God was outside the self and that we needed a person, a priest, a rabbi, a pastor, to go between us and God. This ascension cycle is about science because our RNA is something that is a signaler that works forward and backward between outside in of information that's in our cells that then tells the DNA how to express itself. And then also how the DNA moves through the RNA to tell the cells how to respond in ease or dis-ease. And so if we are really aware and grounded and we look at the world structures, removing every antidote other than a vaccine that's for profit, we will see that the countries that are not part of the world structures have given their people the antidotes that have been illegal in the world structure countries. So when you understand what ascension is and the game of ascension with the world powers, this information becomes very powerful and personal. So my awakening happened when I was catapulted through time and space to my 13-year-old self when I had an experience with women on the internet that was almost identical to an experience I had when I was 13. And I already knew about biology. I already knew that emotions were stored in the body. I already knew that if we thought enough about painful memories, we would start to re-experience them chemically, because our brain would start to secrete those molecules of emotion that are associated with the feelings and thoughts of that memory. I already knew that stuff, but something felt different because I didn't understand how because I understood I was the center of my universe, how I duplicated an almost exact scenario with people. So that cracked me open to wondering, how does the world really work? Like, what is our life experience? That's when you wake up, when you really have a deep, dark night of the soul of an existential crisis. And so what happened, because I recognized that I was the center of both of these scenarios, that means I was responsible for them in some way. I didn't know how, but I knew I was responsible for them. I asked in meditation, what went wrong in the natural order of cause and effect? Because I was re-experiencing a painful experience. So why did a painful experience duplicate itself instead of what I'd rather experience, which was something not like that experience at all? So what went wrong in the natural order of cause and effect? The other question was, who was the first perpetrator? Because the experience that I had at 13 and in 2020 was around racism. And this was at the height of the BLM Antifa rioting. I was on WhatsApp, and I would get videos sent to me that were not broadcast on the news of people being beaten up, and one person in West Hollywood, a gay white guy who owned a Thai store, I think, murdered. You actually watched it on your phone. And the news, of course, presented a different depiction of what BLM was doing. So I thought, who's the first perpetrator? If Black people can be so hurt right now to murder a gay white guy, who hurt Black people first? So those were my two questions. And then everything came from that. So I found documents from slaveholders where they were using the Bible to justify slavery. So then naturally, okay, well, if a white Christian thinks that they can own a Black human, who hurt the white Christians? And then that brought me to Europe, and that brought me to my pagan ancestry with Hungary of my ancestors murdered and genocided for the Catholic Church. So we have information stored in our body from experiences from people who came before us, and the thoughts and feelings of the people around those people who came before us. And that's the real full ascension process, because what happens is when we, as the here and now person, go through this process, we don't just remember things that happen to us. When we're in meditation or when we're on a walk, we will feel and hear or remember something that happened that's not affiliated with our now lifetime. And part of it is because of energy, vibrations in the field that we feel in our body, that then our mind senses and creates an image to represent that feeling. And also because when we were an egg inside our mother's ovary, when she was in your grandmother's womb, we have the molecular, emotional, chemical information from our grandmother, great-grandmother, great-great-great-grandmother. It goes on and on and on. So if you see things, people talking about healing the lineage, this is what it is. We do it through our body. So that was my process. And in this process, I have integrated my root, sacral, and solar plexus chakras. And that integration is the reason why my health has improved and I have been able to move past the painful memories that I have experienced and been able to stick with the habits necessary to transform my body physically to reveal a six-pack. What I'm working on now is integrating my crown, third eye, and throat chakras. So what this means is I am practicing, and this is kind of my third thing I'm doing because I just started talking about this more openly, is expressing my truth through my throat chakra, practicing compassion and non-judgment by viewing things through a neutral third eye instead of an angry third eye, and then also pacing myself with getting downloads, information, higher connections to my higher intelligence through my crown chakra. So this is part of me integrating those top three chakras. So thank you for being here with me as I practice this. I really appreciate you. So I think that's enough for now. But what I do want to show you is me, as like I was saying, how I'm so interested in knowledge. When I would hear about energy stuff in like 2009, 10, I thought it was stupid. Thank you for the heart, Simone. I thought it was really stupid. Thought it had zero relevance. It didn't make sense. And so part of my process with my awakening is I constantly did research on the internet to confirm what was happening. So this, I believe, was scrubbed from the internet because when I go to my browser and my favorites, it doesn't come up. So there's a reading room from the CIA, and I just want to show you this. So this is Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process, 1983. So there are gateways of energy and portals of energy that we can tap into. And I just want to show you the imagery from a CIA document because this is biofeedback, transcendental meditation, resonance, consciousness and energy, holograms, self-cognition. I want to show you this because this is images that are in spiritual books and it gets written off. And I'm showing you this because this is known information in our world structures of government of how energy works. And the universe. Stylized rendition of a simple torus. The torus is your energetic field. Look at the center of it. DNA. More universal concepts. So I just wanted to show you this one. This is not the document that I have in the comments. And it has references within it of books that they used. But this is what I wanted to show you. I think maybe my notes, I'll talk next time about time travel is within the body. Chakras are times in space and they influence thoughts and actions. They can be reprogrammed and what I'm doing. Maybe I'll share that next time because I don't want to talk too long here. So this, when I asked, who was the first perpetrator and I was going down the religious wormhole, the Adam and Eve story is on the CIA reading room. And what it does is it shows it's a book and there's information before the book begins. And then there's more references about it. Basically, okay, this is one of the books referenced, The Lost Continent of Mu. So what we find and what our world structures know is that there was a continent in the Pacific that sank. And if we look at the islands in the Pacific, you'll see stones that are very similar. Those are all other terrestrial beings that have seeded this planet. Humans are wildly unique because we are of the divine masculine in the anti-material universe with mind and sun, and we are of the material universe with the divine feminine of the earth. Earth science and astroscience, we are both. Other beings that have come here have had other purposes. And there was a cataclysm, and there are many beliefs that the Atlantean cataclysm was the cataclysm in the book of Genesis, and you'll read about them here. And and so the Atlantean cataclysm was a disorganization of removing us from God so much. Like the mindset was, I can conquer the earth. And there was a disruption and a misuse of these energetic powers that caused an explosion. And if you listen to some of the information the world structures tell us about global warming, they're saying we are going to be the next reason for the next extinction. Well, newsflash, we already were. So this is information that has not been in our history books. And I know it probably sounds really outlandish, and this is exactly why I'm giving you supporting documents from the CIA and from an old book. I mean, this was published in like the first time 1926. So this is really old information. And I'm sharing it with you because if you do look at the collapsing world structures and you are afraid, and they are not personally impacting you, you are in just the most exquisite time and place ever. Because you truly have choice on how to reconnect if you do feel like there is a God and that you are valuable beyond measure, that you are loved and supported, that you are divine, and that if you are having weird dreams or memories or like weird deja vu experiences, you could be awakening. And those experiences are really that the three areas of the mind, the deep unconscious that has our mental, emotional states from before we were born, our biology from genetics, and our energetics from our karma, and then into our instinctual mind of the subconscious mind, where we have all of the how-tos because of that unconscious identity, and then also all of our conscious thoughts, where we are aware of who we are and our opinions. The awakening is really that those three areas of your brain are all merging into one unit. Because we have lived in separation consciousness under the belief that we are separate from God and we must go to a religious leader to get the connection to God, or ask a God to come into us, like asking Jesus into your heart. We have lived for maybe 26,000 years with the idea that we are separate and we must go seek God. The experiences that you might be having of the deja vu or the weird memories and all that kind of stuff is the separation of the brains coming together, which is going to allow you to reconnect to your heart and your energetic chakra system, which is your hard line to your extension of source energy. And it reconnects you to higher levels of who you are through all of space and time. Right? The body will expire, but the spirit will not. There's parts of our spirit through different areas of the universe. And so this is a merging of all of that stuff. So I wanted to share that with you. QnA. 𝗀𝗲𝗃. I said it right. 𝗀𝗃. You have no idea how many times I was writing that yesterday, or after we got off our call. So that's what I have to share with you. So I'm going to end this and then put in the comments bit.ly links so that you can make these purchases. The Adam and Eve story, you do not have to buy. The Lost Continent of Mu, I put up a link to a thrift store. I think it's like $10. Okay, bye.